with that said, maybe, right? All right, now this is a guy I've actually been waiting to talk about for so long. Chris Barnett. Who is he? Where did he come from? Well, funny thing is, if you keep your ear to the ground, I mean, this is a guy that he's been around, man. He makes his way around the U.S. He trains at almost every fight, major fight camp in the U.S. I mean, good friends with Stipe, it looks like, based on his Instagram profile. Spends some time at Jackson Wink, and I think that that's where, even with Alistair Overeem, he's very close with him too. So that's where I'm actually, really excited to see him. Biggie Bear was his old name, or Huggy Bear, sorry, was his old name. Now he goes by Big Boy, but I really like what I saw from him in terms of personality. Now, when we look at his fights, there was something really funny about his UAE fight where he got the finish. That was a fight where his opponent took it on short notice. He was actually a coach who ended up having to make his debut against him, and that's how he got the finish. But, I think that this is finally an opportunity for Big Ben Rothwell to get into the Octagon and get a fight, because frankly, poor guy's been waiting almost a month now to get in there. And I think over the course of the last year, we've seen Big Ben try and make improvements and look like a better fighter. I think he's still hovering in that top 10, but I think guys are getting better and better. And now he gets an opponent that where, if he's able to keep some distance, use some legs and kicks, he's going to be able to find some success. The one thing about Big Boy is that this guy comes from a long line of athletes. I mean, his brother is a middleweight champion in Taekwondo in the U.S. I mean, I think that happened quite some time ago, but he's always been interested in martial arts. And so he goes on a nice little rant in one story that I read where he talks about every single time, he just went into a gym and picked something up. Oh, Taekwondo, him and his brother started doing it. So he's always been interested in martial arts. And it seems like, coming from an Army family, his dad was, Air Force family. I think that he has a lot of that traveling side in him. Like it really is kind of cool to go to his Instagram profile. I mean, just scroll through it. You can clearly see that he spends time at all these different gyms of all the big ones in the UFC that we come to know. And I think that's really good for him, because if you look at his style, I mean, yeah, he's a thick boy, but he kind of moves, man. He's quite quick. Look at this. Man can dance. I'm pretty excited to see him at least get his UFC opportunity. This was a guy that people were talking about almost 10 years ago in terms of the different types of style that he brings and how we should be talking about him more. There's a lot of those types of stories out there if you do some digging. And so I'm kind of excited to see what he brings to the table, because frankly, like I said, the last opponent that we're kind of basing a lot of his, recency bias on is not someone you kind of want to base too much of your opinion on Chris Barnett on, because I think that when you go through Big Ben Rothwell's record, I mean, it's insane, right? Some of the losses he has are pretty much against, championship level fighters in the UFC and closer to their primes too. So that's where I do like what Big Ben Rothwell brings to the table here. And he does like to throw kicks, and he fights long. And I think this is a fight where if he can keep the fight at a distance with a guy who's only, listed at 5'9", I mean, that's a fight that he should be able to fight, a points match with and really keep the distance and enjoy it. Because think about it, Taekwondo fighter, he's going to want to throw some big kicks and keep it, long, but he's not that tall. This is a massive, discrepancy in terms of height. It's a good 7 inches. I think that's an incredibly different height difference there for a guy who enjoys kicking and being quick on his feet at heavyweight. If Big Ben Rothwell comes in good shape, which he's now been in a fight camp for a very long time due to his opponents, so that's going to be a tough fight where I think that, Chris is going up against the guy who's definitely been waiting to fight. And we know that he likes to fight long. Fights out of his own camp, right? Big Ben Rothwell's always been about Rothwell MMA, and he has his own thing going on. And that's where we've always had that question, right? Do people need to advance their game to really step up and be the next, level of themselves? And when you look at his record, you can make the argument for him. But in any case, I think that he is one of the best fighters that we've seen in the UFC. He has a phenomenal record to show for it. Now, he gets a guy at 21-6, not so many crazy names, but the guy's got a grappling match against Joel Romero under his belt. I mean, the guy just seems to do it all. And I'm excited just for him to get onto the big stage and showcase what he can do both as a personality and as a fighter. I think that he's exciting. It's just when you talk about the quality of opponent, you talk about past fights that you can even grab highlights of. It's just a very interesting career to follow. And I think that's where some of the differences are going to stand out in this fight. But outside of that, man, if he can get it close enough where he's in kicking range and can throw for power and kind of showcase his surprising athleticism. If you go look at tape of him, for a big boy, he can move. And so that's where I kind of want to give him a lot of credit. Now, moving into Rothwell for the last little bit here, if he's not the favorite and really dictating the overall pace here with, Huggy Bear trying to get in there and make this a fight, I would be very surprised. Let's take a look at the line, shall we? And there it is. So minus 275 opener for Big Ben. Now he's moved up all the way to a minus 360 at some places. I mean, I'm seeing more so minus 333 at some points, but it looks like on average minus 360. That's almost 100 points in betting line for Big Ben. And like I said, Chris Barnett going from a plus 235 to a plus 260. Like, there's very limited ways for him to win this fight, but he has to close the distance. He has to land big kicks, chop the legs. I think that's where he can find a lot of success, man. Get those leg kicks in, keep your hands up, don't take a lot of, damage, because if Big Ben's just coming in with good body kicks and a good jab, this could be just a long fight of heavyweights playing a point battle, right? So let's keep it locked. I think it's going to be fun, but who knows, right? I think that could end up being even a boring striking battle between guys who are definitely a little heavy, right? So it's not your fastest pace. Still will be fun. I think Chris Barnett puts on a show for the fans anyway. So even with that said,